Greasy Say had intervened and sent us with our deer to the butcher, but not before it had been badly damaged, hunks of meat taken, the hide riddled with holes. Although everybody paid up fairly, it had lowered the value of the kill. This time we waited until dark fell and slipped under a hole in the fence close to the butcher. Even though we were known hunters, it wouldn't have been good to go carrying a 150-pound deer through the streets of District 12 in daylight like we were rubbing it in the officials' faces. The butcher, a short, chunky woman named Aruba, came to the back door when we knocked. You don't haggle with Ruba. She gives you one price, which you can take or leave, but it's a fair price. We took her offer on the deer, and she threw in a couple of venison steaks we could pick up after the butchering. Even with the money divided in two, neither Gail nor I held so much at one time in our lives. We decided to keep it a secret and surprise our families with the meat and money at the end of the next day. This is where I really got the money for the goat, but I tell Peter I sold an old silver locket of my mother's. That can't hurt anyone. Then I pick up the story of the late afternoon of Prim's birthday. Gail and I went to the market on the square so that I could buy dress materials. As I was running my fingers over a length of thick blue cotton cloth, something caught my eye. There's an old man who keeps a small herd of goats on the other side of the seam. I don't know his real name. Everyone just calls him the Goat Man. His joints are swollen and twisted in painful angles. He's got a hacking cough that proves he spent years in the mines. But he's lucky. Somewhere along the way, he saved up enough for these goats, and now has something to do in his old age besides slowly starve to death. He's filthy and impatient, but the goats are clean, and their milk is rich if you can afford it. One of the goats, a white one with black patches, was laying down in the cart. It was easy to see why. Something, probably a dog, had mauled his shoulder, and infection had set in. It was bad. The goat man had to hold her up to milk her, but I thought I knew someone who could fix it. Gail, I whispered, I want that goat for Prim. Owning a nanny goat can change your life in District 12. The animals can live off almost anything. The meadow's a perfect feeding place, and it can give 4 quarts of milk a day. To drink, to make into cheese, to sell. It's not even against the law. She's hurt pretty bad, says Gail. We'd better take a closer look. We went over and bought a cup of milk to share, then stood over the goat as if idly curious. Let her be, said the man. Just looking, said Gail. Well, look fast. She goes to the butcher soon. Hardly anyone will buy her milk, and then they only pay half price, said the man. What's the butcher giving for her? I asked. The man shrugged. Hang around and see. I turned and saw Ruba coming across the square towards us. Lucky thing you showed up, said the goat man when she arrived. Girl's got her eye on your goat. Not if she's spoken for, I said carelessly. Ruba looked me up and down, then frowned at the goat. She's not. Look at that shoulder. Bet you half the carcass will be too rotten for even sausage. What? Said the goat man. We had a deal. We had a deal on an animal with a few teeth marks. Not that thing. Sell her to the girl if she's stupid enough to take her, said Ruba. As she marched off, I caught her wink. The goat man was mad, but he still wanted that goat off his hands. It took us half an hour to agree on the price. Quite a crowd had gathered by then to hand our opinions. It was an excellent deal if the goat lived. I'd been robbed if she died. People took sides in the argument, but I took the goat. Gail offered to carry her. I think he wanted to see the look on Prim's face as much as I did. In a moment of complete giddiness, I bought a pink ribbon and tied it around her neck. Then we hurried back to my house. You should have seen Prim's reaction when we walked in with that goat. Remember, this is the girl who wept to save that awful old cat, Buttercup. My mother was less sure, seeing the injury, but the pair of them went to work it out, grinding up herbs and coaxing brews down the animal's throat. They sound like you, says Peter. I had almost forgotten he was there. Oh no, Peter. They work magic. That thing couldn't have died if it tried, I say. But then I bite my tongue, realizing what that must sound like to Peter, who was dying in my incompetent hands. Don't worry. I'm not trying, he jokes. Finish the story. Well, that's it. Only I remember that night. Prim insisted on sleeping with Lady on a blanket next to the fire. And just before they drifted off, the goat licked her cheek, like it was giving her a goodnight kiss or something, I say. It was already mad about her. Was it still wearing the pink ribbon? He asks. I think so, I say. Why? I'm just trying to get a picture, he says thoughtfully. I can see why that day made you happy. Well, I knew that goat would be a little gold mine, I say. Yes, of course I was referring to that. Not the lasting joy you gave the sister you loved so much. You took her place in the reaping, says Peter dryly. The goat has paid for itself, several times over, I say in a superior tone. Well, it wouldn't dare do anything else after you saved its life, said Peter. I intend to do the same thing. Really? What did you cost me again? I ask. A lot of trouble? Don't worry. You'll get it all back, he says. You're not making sense, I say. I test his forehead. The fever's going nowhere but up. You're a little cooler, though. The sound of the trumpet startles me. I'm on my feet and by the mouth of the cave in a flash, not wanting to miss a syllable. It's my new best friend, Claudius Temple Smith, and as I expected, he's inviting us to a feast. Well, we're not that hungry, and I actually wave his offer away in indifference. When he says, now hold on. Some of you may already be declining my invitation, but this is no ordinary feast. Each of you needs something desperately. I do need something desperately. Something to heal Peter's leg. Each of you will find that something in a backpack, marked with your district number at the cornucopia at dawn. Think hard about refusing to show up. For some of you, this will be your last chance, says Claudius. There's nothing else, just his words hanging in the air. I jump as Peter grips my shoulder from behind. No, he says. You're not risking your life for me. Who said I was? I say.